Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Person, my lecturer, Miss Fitriani, and all of my beloved friends. First of all, let us thank to the Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Taala because of His blessing we are able to come here to join in this endless meeting. Secondly, salawat and salam also delivered to our Prophet Muhammad SAW, who has guarded us from the darkness into the brightness. Ladies and gentlemen, the presentation today is the rainwater clean and safe to drink? Now I will read one by one the agenda today. That are, the first session is opening, the second session is introducing, the third session is presentation time, and the fourth session is closing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we show our presentation, let me introduce our team. I'm Trisha Garota Manonsih as moderator, Fatatul Habibah as the first presenter, and Rizki Hafizh Dwiputra as the second presenter. Ladies and gentlemen, and now let's open our meeting by saying Basmalah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Slide 224 will be presented by myself. Have you ever wondered whether or not it's safe to drink rainwater? The short answer is sometimes. Here's a look at when it's not safe to drink rainwater, when you can drink it, and what you can do to make it safer for human consumption. When you shouldn't drink rainwater. Rain passes through the atmosphere before falling to the ground, so it can pick up any contaminants in the air. You don't want to drink rainwater hot radioactive sites, like Chernobyl or rural Fukushima. It's not a great idea to drink rainwater falling near chemical plants or near the plumes of power plants, paper mills, or etc. Don't drink rainwater that has run off of plants or buildings because you could pick up toxic chemicals from these surfaces. Similarly, don't collect rainwater from puddles or into dirty containers. Rainwater that is safe for drinking. Most rainwater is safe to drink. Actually, rainwater is the water supply for much of world population. The level of pollution, pollen, mold, and other contaminants are low, possibly lower than your public drinking water supply. Keep in mind, rain does pick up low levels of bacteria as well as dust and occasional insect parts, so you may want to treat rainwater before drinking it. Slide 5 to 7 will be presented by Fatatul Habibah.
Okay, thank you, Trisha. Now I will explain how to make rainwater safer. The two main steps you can take to improve the quality of rainwater is to boil it and filter it. But before that, we must use the correct rainwater harvesting method. The other important consideration is how you collect rainwater. You can collect rainwater directly from the sky into a clean bucket or bowl. Ideally, use a disinfected container or one that was run through a dishwasher. Let the rainwater sit for at least an hour so heavy particulates can settle to the bottom. Alternatively, you can run the water through a coffee filter to remove the breeze. Although it isn't necessary, refrigerating the rainwater will retard the growth of most microorganisms it could contain. The next is desiccating water. How to desiccating water? Okay, next slide, please. Ways to disinfect water. There are four broad categories of disinfection methods. There is heat, filtration, irradiation, and chemical methods. Boiling water is an excellent method, but obviously it only helps if you have a heat source. Boiling water can kill some pathogens, but it doesn't remove heavy metals, nitrate, pesticides, or other chemicals contamination. Chlorine, iodine, and ozone are most often used for chemical disinfection. Chlorination can leave potentially toxic byproducts. Plus, it doesn't kill all cysts or viruses. Iodination is effective but leaves an unpleasant taste. The use of iodine is not recommended when preparing water for pregnant women or people with thyroid problems. Adding ozone is effective but not widely available. Irradiation is accomplished using an ultraviolet light or exposure to strong sunlight. UV light kills bacteria and viruses but doesn't kill all the algae or cysts of pathogenic organisms. Sunlight is effective if the water is sufficiently clear, the light is bright enough, and the water is exposed to light long enough. There are too many variables to give firm recommendation on the use of this method. Microfiltration effectiveness depends on the pore size of the filter. The smaller the pore size, the better the filtration, but it's also slower. This technique removes all pathogens. Other techniques are becoming more widespread, including electrolysis, nanoalumina filtration, and LED irradiation. Next slide. And now, what about restraint? Okay, for the next material will be discussed by Rizki.
Thank you, Fatatul Habibah. The next slide is what about acid rain? Most rainwater is naturally acidic, with an average pH of around 5.0 to 5.5 from the interaction between water and carbon dioxide in the air. This is not dangerous. In fact, drinking water rarely has a neutral pH because it contains dissolved mineral. A pure public water could be acidic, neutral, or basic, depending on the source of the water. To put the pH into perspective, coffee made with neutral water has a pH around 5.4. Orange juice has a pH closer to 4. The truly acidic rain that you would avoid drinking might fall around an active volcano. Otherwise, acid rain isn't a serious consideration. Next slide, please. Actually, not only for consumption. You can also use rainwater to wash clothes, kitchen, or other household utensils. You can even use it for bathing. You can also use the collected rainwater to water plants. The reason is that plants really like to be watered with rainwater because the content of rainwater is free from chlorine, potassium, and other harmful chemicals. Furthermore, the impact on hydroelectric power plants, we know that artificial lakes that hold rainwater can be utilized and converted into electrical and energy sources assisted by sophisticated technological equipment. The water used to generate electricity is known as a hydroelectric power plant or PLTE. And then I will switch to moderator Trisha Garota Manonsih. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rizki. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we are come to the last agenda. We would like to say thanks again for presenter and all of the audiences for active participation. The conclusion of the presentation today is number one, most rain is perfectly safe to drink and maybe even cleaner than the public water supply. Number two, rainwater is only as clean as its container. Number three, only rain that has fallen directly from the sky should be collected for drinking. It should not have touched plants or buildings. And number four, boiling and filtering rainwater will make it even safer to drink. Hopefully the presentation will give benefit for us. Thank you for your attention. See you later. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.